All right, good afternoon, traders. Today is March 18th, 2025. My name is John Kerrigan. I moderate the BYOB Trading Room. Hey, let's go take a look at some charts today. All right, so yeah, just like me, Robert, one trade. It was the trade down right here to the anchored VWAP right here, the 2025 low. Anchored VWAP right to this area right here. I got to tell you, if the price goes up, then the bulls obviously are interested. Price goes down, then obviously they're not, and we're going to have continued selling. Here's the game plan. All right. Again, game plan below 563.80 worked today. Okay, all the way down here to the 2025 anchored VWAP low right there. So on the green side did not even get triggered in. So into the close, we got a 10-minute. Let's take a look at the 10-minute. I'm just going to call it flat. It's a downtrend, but it's flat. On the 2-hour, I think the 2-hour is flat too. 2-hour, we got a downtrend, barely a downtrend. Not much space between the 3 EMA and the 8 EMA. On the daily chart, we've got a lower high, lower low, closing under a bearish trap, under the falling 17, under the all-time high anchored VWAP, under the midpoint. All right, so we're still just neutral right here. Okay, so we had 2 nice days up, and now we're having a pullback. Where does that pullback lead us to? I'm just curious. If I put the quad lines in, yeah, you can see right there that pullback stopped right on the bullish side of the midpoint. If you look at that closely right there. So we'll see what happens. Maybe the bulls want this and they're just not ready yet. Waiting to see if the bears are going to sell something off. So there's SPY on the daily chart. Let's take a look at QQQ. QQQ on the daily chart, same as SPY. Lower high, lower low, closing under bearish trap, under the falling 17, under the all-time high anchored VWAP, down here in quadrant, well, in the lower third. All right, so that's bearish down there. Okay, if they get back up here and break out of the lower third, they'll be bullish. Right now, continued bearishness. Let's take a look at FNGA. Again, lower high, lower low, closing under the bearish trap, under the falling 17, under the all-time high anchored VWAP, under the uptrend line, under the midpoint, down here in the lower third, that's bearish. Let's take a look at IWM. IWM got the low there's 202.35. 202.60 inside day. All right, one more time. 202.60, 202.35. Lower high, lower low, not an inside day. Lower high, lower low, closing under the bearish trap, under the falling 17, under the all-time high anchored VWAP, under the uptrend line, under the midpoint, in the lower third. All right, so it's bearish down here. Let's take a look at Diamond Dow. Diamond Dow, lower inside day, lower high, higher low, closing inside a bearish trap, under a bearish trap, under the falling 17, under the all-time high anchored VWAP, that's a pink line, under the uptrend line, that's a gold line right here, okay, under the midpoint. All right, so it's just neutral right here. You went up, you give it up, that's neutral. You go down, you give it up, that's neutral. So there's Diamond Dow. On T2122, well, yesterday we camped out inside the buy zone. Well, today we camped out inside the buyer's chop zone. All right, so not quite as good as we were doing yesterday on T2122. Again, we made higher lows as compared from this, but we also made lower highs. On T2123, we have consolidation over prior consolidation. That's a bullish outlook. But we also have a gap up that did not get filled. That's a bullish outlook. But we're not making, maybe we did. All right. We squeaked out a higher high. All right. Just squeaked it out, not a significant higher high. Didn't feel any bearish traps up here. But we just barely squeaked out a higher high on T2123. You can see there's not much space between the green candle, the green 17 EMA and the price action. Matter of fact, near end of day, they're right on top of one another right there. The good news is the bears didn't fill the gap. All right, so I'll give that point to the bulls. We're still underneath the falling 200 SMA. Still underneath a couple of prior all-time high anchored VWAPs, as well as the all-time high anchored VWAP. Still underneath that falling 200 SMA. Let's take a look at it on the 3-bar chart. Again, we've got a bear flag hockey stick going on. Again, you can see price action trying to close in the space between the falling 17 and the price action candles. We're still underneath those two prior all-time highs, and is underneath the all-time high as well, way up here. Underneath this fading 200 SMA. So nothing bullish really happening yet on T2123. It's just a bear flag right there on T2123. FNGA, bear flag on FNGA as well. Thought they could hold it over the falling 200. Couldn't quite manage it. Had a difficult time here trying to maintain price over the regular VWAP. So just wasn't any buyers today to bring price up over VWAP. I mean, you're going to need institutional buying if you're going to get price over VWAP, and we just didn't have it at all today on the FNGA. Let's go take a look at a few sectors. We'll take a look at XLE first. All right, here's XLE. Higher low, higher high, closing over the trap. All right, over a bullish trap, over the 17, over downtrend line 1, that's the goal line. Downtrend line 2 is the second goal line up here. Over the pink line, that's the 12-month high anchored VWAP right there. That's good news. Over the midpoint, that's good news. Again, they go down, they give it up, they go up, they give it up. It's just neutral right here. A little bit further, and they start making some higher highs, and we could see some bullish activity closing up here in the upper third. We'll see. There's XLE. Oh, excuse me. All right, let's take a look at UNG. UNG, high flyer, all right. We've got a higher low, higher high, closing under a bearish trap, under the 17. Up here in quadrant 4, that's bullish up there, up over this 12-month high anchored VWAP, bullish. And that probably needs to cool off for a couple more weeks. Let's take a look at USO. USO price action is outside day, higher high, lower low, closing under bearish trap, under the falling 17, under the uptrend line, under the 3-year high anchored VWAP, that's a pink line, under the dash, that's the midpoint right through here. So price action down here in the lower third, that's bearish on USO. Let's take a look at silver and gold, precious metals. New all-time high for gold. Enough said. Really can't say anything more. It's bullish. Take a look at silver. Silver, higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish trap, over the rising 17, over this 12-year high anchored VWAP. That's the pink line. Over the midpoint, up here in quadrant 4, that's bullish. Let's take a look at SMH. SMH got a lower high and a lower low, closing inside a bullish trap under the falling 17, under the all-time high anchored VWAP, under the midpoint. I'm going to call it neutral right here, not in the lower third, but it's on the borderline right there. So SMH on the borderline. And we'll go take a look at its cousin, XLK. SMH's cousin, XLK, technology sector. Same candle, Lower high, lower low, closing under a bearish trap, under the falling 17, that's the red dots, under the all-time high anchored VWAP, that's a pink line, under the gold line, that's the uptrend line, under the green dashes right here, that's the midpoint, all right? Not in the lower third, so it's just neutral. Again, you go up, you give it up. You go down, you give it up. Just neutral right here on XLK. Let's take a look at XLF. XLF is inside day, higher high, no, lower high, higher low, closing above a bullish cross, under a falling 17, under an all-time high anchored VWAP. Up here in the upper third, that's bullish on XLF. Let's take a look at the last one, IYT. Here's the transports, lower high, lower low, closing under the bearish trap, under the falling 17, under the uptrend line, under the all-time high anchored VWAP, under the midpoint, that's bearish down here in the lower third. All right, let's take a look at, that's it for today. So we got FOMC tomorrow. All right, it's going to be some minutes come out. I'm not expecting any cuts. I'm not expecting any hikes. All right, I think they're just going to give you terrible verbiage that says we're going to remain hawkish, which would be normal. That's their job. All right, so that's it really for today. Any questions? If there's no questions, we'll wrap this up. I did well with the futures. On the futures, I usually just trade whatever I take for trades for SPY and QQQ. So on the futures, let's see what we got here for the futures. What did I get for today? Okay, for the futures, performance today was I made 2,000 on the futures. All right. You can see I sold the peak up here to come down here and touch the 2025 anchored low anchored VWAP down here. So I figured that was going to be a target, and that paid off well. So that's it. I'm flat on futures. I've got a couple of positions. I've got some call spreads. I got some debit call spreads or covered calls, whatever you want to call them. Okay. I got some 24 days till expiration, 580 calls. Again, I'm expecting price to possibly pull back to this area here and test this valley right here. This is the low of the valley between the two peaks. So I'm expecting that right there. So we'll see what happens. So we had 2 days up, got a red day, maybe 2 more green days up. We come up here and strike this 575 area. So that's it for me for today. All right, I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Okay, FOMC at 2 p.m. Everybody have a wonderful afternoon. Sorry, but nothing really worked out after for the last 5 hours. We could have done the market wrap up 5 hours ago. Yeah, thanks guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Again, if you need help, contact me on Skype. All right. There's a couple of people said they wanted help, but I think only one of them contacted me on Skype. So if you're still out there, my date is out there. Just contact me. All right. And you can find me on Skype, John Carrigan. All right. And we will set you up with some coaching if you need more coaching. First time coaching if you've never done it. All right. I just want to help. All right. I'll see you guys all tomorrow, 8 o'clock in the morning. Everybody have a great evening.